Hey, good morning, everyone. It is an early edition of Today's Antidote. You're probably going, hey, what amazing thing are these guys going to teach me that's going to change my whole life? You know, do they have the answer for why I'm not a millionaire or a bajillionaire yet? And what's that huge thing that they're going to tell me that's going to make life so easy for me that I'm so glad I got up early today and everything's going to change? You've come to the wrong place. That's not what we're driving for here. What we are driving for is coming up with something that you can do, some tactical thing, some mind shift, some sort of thing that you can actually accomplish today so that you can drive your life forward, your professional life, whatever your vision is, you can actually get there. We don't profess to know what your problem is. We don't need to know what your problem is, your challenge, whatever it is. What we know is our challenges and how we're overcoming them. And we're hoping by watching what we do, learning from us and us learning from you, we all can move a little faster towards our goal. That's Tom Brush. I'm Bob Graham. This is Today's Antidote. And Tom, I did that without my script.
Very nice. Look at you. Look at you. I think it was better yesterday, but good job.
Wow.
Tough. It's a Friday morning, so you know.
It is a Friday. Although I got to tell you, Friday feels like Saturday, feels like Tuesday, feels like Monday, and the holidays coming up Monday. And I'm working, I know, for at least part of the day. And part of it was I didn't unschedule the holiday. And I talked to two people at scheduled meetings, and they were like, yeah, well, it's Monday. I'm like, it's a holiday Monday. And they said, when? So it should be a very interesting week next week with that whole, is it a holiday not a holiday? But that's not our topic today. Our topic today is the opportunities that come from the trapdoors or the struggles. Whether it's the internal trapdoors that we know, those things that get in our way that we stumble over and over, or those external trapdoors, those things that outside stimuli that causes us trouble. Whatever it is, there are actually opportunities that come from them. So Tom, start the discussion.
Yeah, well, I think, one of the things that trapdoors, obstacles, whatever, internal, external, there's a ton of them out there, is that it makes us rethink, right? It makes us take a pause for a second and think about, okay, this isn't working. Whatever I'm doing isn't working, or I've hit a stumbling block. And so I have to think a little bit differently about, well, what does that look like? And so when I then pivot a little bit or do a complete 180, now I have the opportunity to see things a little bit differently. And when I do that, sometimes opportunities pop up that I would never have thought of. I think back to 2008 when all businesses went, things went crazy.
Not all businesses, Tom. Come on.
Not all, but okay, a lot.
Okay.
And so what happened was people looked for different ways to make money. And the things that came out of it were things that today are booming. They were like, okay, I have a house. Well, what can I do with this extra room in my house? Well, maybe I could rent it out for somebody traveling. Or I've got a car. What if I give people rides? And it's amazing that someone was able to look at a challenge they had, pivot and say, well, what if I did this differently? And I think it's a great reminder for us that just because we hit a hurdle doesn't mean that it's a complete impasse that we can't get by. It's just usually a temporary, I need to look at this a little bit differently. And those that do sometimes find opportunities.
I'm not sure that sometimes find opportunities. I think there's always an opportunity if you look hard enough, because if you think of life from a really broad perspective, we're constantly overcoming challenges and finding opportunities. And each day we're actually overcoming a really big obstacle that we don't like to think about, which is the potential that we could die. I know it's heavy for a Friday, but you do have that possibility each day. And so if you think about it, you're one day closer to death every single day. Sorry, Tom, that's just reality. So we achieve, but stay with me here for a second. if you think about, wow, I accomplished that task every day. I've lived somewhere close to 20,000 days in my life. So I've overcome the biggest obstacle almost 20,000 times. I sometimes call on that and say, wow, if I can overcome that big obstacle, some of these other obstacles aren't nearly as big. And the other thing is, every day that we're alive, we gather more information that makes us more adept at overcoming the obstacles. And that gives us the ability to take all, that's what's great about being a human. We can take all that information, process it in this really cool computer we each have in our brain, and then make a decision based on it, so that the obstacle I face today is perhaps the same obstacle I faced 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but I have all this additional information and insight that makes me more adept at overcoming it. So yes, there are trap doors, but each day we have the chance to be better at overcoming them because we have more information, more resources.
Yeah, more knowledge is definitely more important. And I think we engage with other people who provide us with new information. That's the interesting thing, is that every day we have the opportunity to connect and engage with new people and new experiences, which allow us to have more information to help us then figure out what am I going to do the next time this challenge arises. And it was interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. You went to one extreme, I'm going to go to the other. It's like, sometimes I sit and feel like I had to go through all those challenges and hit those obstacles and, deal with my own internal trapdoors to get to where I am. And that now is allowing me to deal with things very differently and really find the opportunities. We've seen how it succeeded in the past, and I had to deal with that. And I didn't understand why I needed that information at the time. And now I'm understanding why that was beneficial and how I can use that to help other people or to help myself. And I think it's a funny thing that, we don't want obstacles and hurdles and burdens and challenges. And yet in the long run, they are probably really useful if we call on them at the right time.
They're also a necessary evil. You're not going to get from point A to point Z without stopping along the way. It's just not going to happen. So if you think that person who's really successful has never faced adversity or obstacles, I can tell you that's not true. I've talked to a lot of leaders who you would say, oh, they are totally killing it right now. Every one of them can tell you about days, and not like 10 years ago days, but like yesterday, like this morning. The challenges do not go away. That is a misnomer. Talk to an athlete, and athletes have challenges every day, because they're running, the clock runs against them as well. You get older, you get slower, you have physical challenges, you have mental challenges. That doesn't go away for anyone in any situation, even though we seem to revere these people that do it effortlessly. The Tom Brady's of the world but how much work does he put in to be that guy?
No, you're right.
Really, but we all look at him like, oh, Tom Brady's in his 40s and he's such a great quarterback. The amount of effort he puts into it to be that quarterback, that's what separates the people. The people who achieve the results are the ones who take the opportunities, find the opportunities, and pursue them relentlessly. And they find the obstacle and go, oh, cool. Let's tackle an obstacle today.
Right.
Oh, what do you got for me? It's the marathon runner.
Yeah, they know it's going to lead to a solution or another opportunity or new information or just a way to be more creative of what they, it's like every challenge gets them closer and closer to whatever, once they overcome it, they're closer and closer to whatever the goal is or the objective is. And I think those people always know there's no final objective.
Right.
So it's not like, okay, I'm going to get by this hurdle or this obstacle and I'm good. I've hit exactly where I want to be. Like, there is no end result for them. They're always striving. And because they're always striving, they know, all right, once I get by this, I know something else is coming, because that means I'm getting closer and closer and closer to whatever the end result is, which they also know is sometimes unattainable.
Right. Look at the marathon runner. I know so many people who ran a half marathon and struggled to do that. And then they ran a full marathon and they struggled, but they got through it. And then it's funny, after they run that marathon, I would think they'd be like, okay, that was fine. I'm done.
Right.
Check that off the list. And they go, no, I think I'm going to do another one next year and see if I can get better time.
If that's the goal. Yeah, you know,
If that's, but often it just becomes, I can get better at something. I think in business, you find a new challenge and you can get better at it if you're willing to look for the opportunity. And better doesn't have to be you shaved your time in your marathon by an hour. Better can be just a couple seconds better. And I think that's the fun and excitement that can happen. I see a comment. Everyone has challenges. It's how they handle the challenges that make them successful. Who's that from?
That's from Therese.
Oh, Therese. Good morning, Therese. Therese was one of the participants in our networking event yesterday that we had a great time, and we did something that was really renegade style, and it went off beautifully without a hitch. We had such a good time.
Well, so, it's interesting that so I had a comment come to me that I learned more about this group of people, and knowing all that I know nothing about what they do. And I almost thought that was like it was like exactly what we were looking for. It's like we learned a whole lot of, you know, the challenge typically is, how do I get to know the person? You go to these events and it's like, everybody's going to tell you what they do, but not a lot of people talk about who they are. And the challenge then becomes, because in business, it's not necessarily about just knowing somebody. It's about, you know, do you like them? Somebody even said, do you love them, to me? And I was like, that's a good question. And trust them. And I think we spend a lot of time getting at those events to get what they do. And that doesn't mean anything about the other parts of, are we actually ever really going to do any work with them? And so now we have a group of people who know people really well, have no idea what they do, but they can go figure that out. There's lots of that information out there. So I think the challenge, we sort of tried to help them eliminate one of the challenges to move to challenges that are easier. Finding out what they do is easy. Finding out who they are is harder. And so I think by getting that challenge out of the way early, the rest of it can become a little bit easier.
So for those of you who didn't participate yesterday, we did our Unnetworking Network event and told people they couldn't name their company or what they do. This was all about, we had some questions and they got in small groups online and answered questions that were thought-provoking and helped them better understand how they looked at the world. And the result, I wasn't able to participate in the groups because I was running the show from a technical perspective, but each time they came back from the groups, people were smiling. That as the hour went by, people got more and more excited. And this group that didn't know each other, they were from all over the place.
Right.
But at the end, they were all just openly sharing with each other, which I thought was just amazing. And it gets at that, what's the obstacle with networking? The obstacle with networking that you and I identified, at least for us, was all people want to do is talk about their business. So we overcame that challenge by saying, you know what, we're going to take the business part out of the equation and focus on the people part. And that's what renegades do. And that's why Tom and I are leading this group of renegades. We have a Facebook group, if you don't know yet, called the Ring of Renegades. You are free to join. It is free for you to join. It would be a great place for you and a great place for anyone else you know who's looking for a group of people that are willing to take on the future, the challenges that face them, the trapdoors in new and exciting ways. And we are seeing that every day. We get evidence more and more within that group, within what we're hearing within that group, and outside that group. So, Tom, I think we should probably get to what's that one thing someone can do today. We've had a week of talking about the whole trapdoor thing. What's that one thing on a Friday leading into a holiday weekend?
So I would say the one thing is go find those obstacles and address them. Go looking for where are the challenges, because when you go looking for them, you'll find them. and then you can figure out how to deal with them, and that'll move you closer to where you are. Don't avoid them. Go find them.
I like that idea. I'm going to go out today, and I know the obstacle I'm going to confront. It's a really good obstacle that I need to address. It's something I mentioned to you last night that is becoming a issue for me. And so I have the chance today, and I'm going to confront it, and I'm just going to see where it goes. And if nothing else, I'll learn from the experience.
Because I think, you know what the funny thing is then you go get it. You it's not like we're afraid of it. You're now actually going to find it. I want to go present me with a hurdle and I'll figure it out.
Right. Well,
What's our for this afternoon? What's our music we're talking about?
Oh, I totally forgot. I didn't get my email.
No. Oh, you should have.
Unless it went in my junk folder. So we have some operational issues. There's an obstacle to overcome. I forget what our theme.
Guilty pleasures.
That's right. It's guilty pleasures. Thank you, Tom. I'm so sorry. Guilty pleasures. So if you're in the Ring of Renegades, we do Friday happy hour. Happy Hour Friday, tag things. We send links to songs around a theme. Our theme today is Guilty Pleasures. I will be throwing out Wham's Careless Whisper to start things going, because that is a song that if it comes on the radio, I will sing it pretty loud in the car. Time can never mend.
All right.
There you go. I whatever I need to do to make it work.
I think it's
Thanks, folks. We will be back Monday morning. Yes, Memorial Day Monday. We will be back at 8:30 a.m. Eastern with another edition of Today's Antidote. Until then, have a great weekend. Be healthy, be happy, and find those obstacles.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.